Shalom. I'm Rabbi Davidovich, speaking to you from Efrat, Israel. In our weekly Netivot Shalom shir, tonight we're going to be talking about one aspect of the Parsha of this week, Parsha Shemot. We started a new book of the Torah, a new sefer of the Torah, and we're going to be talking about one specific item in here that I think has the secret to how we as a Jewish people have survived until now, how we got out of Mitzrayim, out of Egypt, and how we can continue to survive both on a global way and on an individual way. So I think there's some important things that the Netivot Shalom says. What I'm going to be talking about is the sneh. The sneh is the bush. And the Parsha says, Vayar Malach Hashem Elav. Just backing up a little bit, Moshe went to Midian when he learned that Paro was going to kill him because he killed an Egyptian who was attacking a Jew. So Moshe fled to Midian, where he was a shepherd, and he's out in the desert shepherding his flock. And all of a sudden, he looks around, and here's what the pasuk says: "Vayar Malach Hashem Elav," and the angel of God called to him, "B'labas Eish," from a tower of fire, mitoch hasneh, from the middle of a bush. Vayar, and he looked, v'hinei, and he saw hasneh bo'er bo'esh. The bush was completely burning. It was fire. The whole thing was on fire, but hasneh einenu ukal. The bush was not consumed. He looked at this. V'yomer Moshe, he said, Asor no, I've got to turn away. V'ereh, and look at it. Hamara has gadol hazeh, this great apparition that's before me. Madua lo yivar hasneh. Why isn't the bush burning? So that's what the pasuk says. Now we're going to see what the Netivot Shalom says, and we're doing the second book of his books on the different divisions of the Torah. This is the book of Shemot, and we're going to be starting on Lamed Aleph, page 31. And the Netivot Shalom starts out, and he says, he quotes the pasuk that I just said, Vayar Malach Hashem Elav, the angel of God appeared to him, B'lavas Eish, in the midst of a fire, Mitoch Hasneh, from the middle of a bush. Vayar, and Moshe saw, he saw the bush burning and not being consumed. Just repeats what I just said. Why? Wants to know, why isn't this bush being consumed? Hashem, and God saw Kisar, that he turned away Liros, to see. He turned away to see what's going on. And God called to him, Hashem mitoch hasneh, from the midst of this bush, and so on. And God says to him, to Moshe, Al tikrav halom, don't come any closer. Shal na'alecha me'al raglecha, take your shoes off of your feet. Ki ha'makom asher ata omed alav admas kodeshu, because the place that you're standing on is holy ground. So Netivot Shalom says, Yesh Levayer, we have to explain, Hamara Gadol Hazeh, with this great apparition, Asher Hera HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe, that God showed to Moshe when? Terem Shalchu, before God sent him on his mission. Because right after this is where God is telling him, you've got to return to Mitzrayim, to Egypt, to talk to Paro and have him let your people go. So he shows him this vision before. Terem Shalchu Demashma Shemara Hazeh Tamun Soda Shlichus, because the Netivot Shalom says, obviously in this picture, in this burning bush, is buried the secret of what he's supposed to be doing, the secret of his shlichut. Then he goes on. Excuse me. V'yesh lamar ha'inyan al perish madamar b'sifri hakodesh. He says this is the explanations in the holy books. The Bir Mamra Kasuv, as it says, B'chipozon yotzad me'eretz Mitzrayim. When God took us out of the land of Egypt, He did so quickly in haste. We had to leave in a hurry. Why did they have to leave in such a hurry? Because Bnei Israel had sunken to the 49th level of depravity, the 49th level of tumah, of uncleanness. They reached. Had they gone any further, they would have been able to get out of it. So they had sunk to this 49th level. And he says, if they had gone to the 50th level of depravity, they would have been gone. They would have been lost forever. Therefore, Hashem had to do it quickly, had to do it in haste. Pen b'sharosav od miat yipalu chas v'shol m'sharanon. Excuse me. Lest they fall into the next level of depravity from which they can't redeem themselves. Okay, therefore, he says, Tzorech bir. We have to understand that Gufa Madua Sabab HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What was God thinking? It's a question a lot of people ask. What was God thinking when this happened? Right? What was God thinking? What was He thinking by letting the people stay in Egypt until that very last minute to get to the level of the 49th level of depravity?
That's what I was just wondering.
Right. Why not before? Why didn't God intervene before? Umadua lohotziyam kodem. Why didn't He bring them out before? Sheshachu hem ted sharit tuma shelo yeh b'sakanat abodun. Why didn't He take Bnei Israel out of Egypt before they reached this 49th level, where they were in danger of completely being lost? Ella, so he says, Ome ka'inyan bezeh aldomema legarin. He says, you have to compare this to a seed. Hazera, Hanizra, Badom, a seed. You compare what God was doing to a seed that is planted in the ground. The Kodem Markiv Hagarin, before anything happens, after you plant this seed, the seed disintegrates. Ad shelo nishar bo, until there's nothing left of it, ki'im kusta de chiyusa, nothing but this small kusta de chiyusa, this spark of life. This kusta is a spark of life. The oz, and from that spark of life in the seed, matchil atzmiach, it begins to grow a plant. Kilo letaken semicha michadeshet, you can't have new growth, elakasher kodem la ha'eder, until before that you almost disappear. B'chol zman shelo nirkav hayashan, as long as the seed does not become disintegrated, ein hachadash yochel litzmoach, the new plant cannot grow. Look at it sort of as, if you have like a nut has a casing around it, has a shell around it, and the shell contains whatever's good inside of it. You got to get rid of the shell first for it to do anything. So too here, you have to get rid of the shell around. You have to have the seed itself dissolve and leave just the center of it, which is the kusta de chiyusa, the spark of life, for new life to begin. B'zman hatzmicha mechedesh, I think I skipped a line. If it completely dissolves and completely disappears, the seed, lo tishara kusta de chiyusa, and this spark of life doesn't remain, kvar gam kain lo titakein hatzmicha. If that's the case, if it completely disappears, it can't grow. it's gone. B'zman hatzmicha muchedeshes, and the time for the new growth, hu kasher hagarin nimsa bein ha'eder v'kiyum, is that moment in time when the seed is between disappearing and existing, just at the very last moment. Shekulo narkiv milvad hakus d'chil. So everything in that seed has completely deteriorated, except for this one little pintula, this one little point of life, spark of life. I call it kusta d'chiusa. Valderech zeh, and through this, hayu inyanim shal Yisrael b'Mitzrayim. This is exactly what happened to the people of Israel in Egypt. They were at the lowest level. Like almost completely disappearing. Milvad hakus d'chiusa, except for this spark of life, shenish'aru b'hem, that remained in them, shelo naflu l'shar hanun, so that they shouldn't fall into the 50th level of depravity. B'davka, and specifically, az bein ha'eder l'kiyum hayuzman tzmichatam hamuchodeshet, the time between the near disappearance and the existence, that instantaneous time, if you will, is the time when you can have new growth. Because God brought children of Israel out of Egypt, v'nolad am chadash, am hanivchar l'Hashem, and He gave birth, like a new plant would grow, a new people grew. He gave birth to a new people who was a chosen people to Hashem. This is the aspect of, in haste, God took us out of Egypt. Before that time, it would have been impossible to get them out, because had He gotten them out before, they wouldn't have that growth process. It's like removing the seed before it's completely dissolved, leaving only the kusta d'chiusa. If you got them out before, they wouldn't have reached that point. There would be nothing for it to grow on. Bagam lo ma'uchar yoter, and they couldn't be any later. God couldn't take them any later. Shentishtayr hakusta d'chiuso mikocha yechol legol, because it was this spark of life, of kusta d'chiuso, the spark of life that gave them the power to be redeemed. But regazeh, in this moment, shebein ha'eder v'akiyum, from time between totally disappearing and being in existence, that instant, hu hazman harui l'tzmichas hamuchedesh shel ha'am hanivchar. This was the time that was appropriate for the chosen people. V'zeu inyan hamera hagadol. This was the aspect of this great vision, this great thing that Moshe was seeing. Shariah Kadosh Baruch Hu, that God showed to Moshe, but Reishis Lichosu, He showed him at the beginning of his sending him away to be a messenger to Paro. He says, "V'hine asneh bo'er bo'esh." You see the bush burning in fire, v'hasneh einu ukol, but it's not consumed. Kochot hatuma, the power of depravity, of tuma, of impurity, holchim u'machalim es klal Yisrael. The power of depravity was surrounding Bnei Yisrael when they were in Egypt. They were on this lowest level they could be at, and they were completely surrounded by this. Abel hasneh enu ukal. But even though this power of defilement was like a burning fire, the sneh, bush, Bnei Yisrael, wasn't consumed by that tumah. She'enam nisrafim lagamri. They weren't burned completely. Ela nishar bohem adayan kusta d'chiusa. They reached this level, but there still remain this spark of life, this kusta d'chiusa. Al zeh hitpale Moshe, and on this Moshe was in wonderment. The Omri said, "Asura na I'll turn aside the Eretz Hamer Hagadol Hazeh. I'll look at this great sight. Madua lo yivar hasneh. Why doesn't this bush burn? Why isn't the bush consumed? Moshe Tama, he wondered. Koach, ma'u koach hakusta d'chiyusa shebehem. What is the kusta d'chiyusa of the Jewish people? What is the spark of life that's left in them to be able to survive what they're going through? How can they be so enveloped this depravity? And even so, despite that they were engulfed in this great depravity on the 49th level of Tuma, they were not completely burned up by it at all. And the next page. This spark of life that God that is found in them, as our sages have said, is chus hu'amuna nigalu avoseinu b'Mitzrayim, and the merit of emuna, the merit of total trust and faith in God, were our people redeemed from Egypt. V'hainu, and what does that mean? Mitzrayim lo haya lehem me'uma. In Mitzrayim, in Egypt, the Jews had nothing. Shari shaka b'memtesh shari tuma. They were completely covered with this 49th level of depravity. Barak shoresh hamuna nishabem, but only the root of Amuna remained in them. Isa b'chesed Avram, it says, Shamuna hi b'chinas koach hayilui. This Amuna that they had, this faith and trust, gave them the power to continue and to go forward with their difficulties. Shohayu b'shoresh nishmas Yisrael. This Amuna, this kusta d'chiyusa, is a comparison between the spark of life and the belief in Amuna. This is the root of Bnei Yisrael, Shem Chelak Hashem Amo, because Bnei Yisrael are a part of Hashem. Ubechinas yoredas ad bechinas tachtona shebenefesh adam, and in the aspect of it going down to the lowest part of a person, l'chem maminim b'nei maminim nikro. Children of Israel, the Jews, are called believers, the children of believers. But Son Lomer, what does that mean? Shekain yesod nafsham mishorish hamuna v'emes, means the foundation of the Jewish neshama, of the Jewish soul, is faith and truth, emuna and emes. Adkan, he says. V'hainu, and therefore he says, Degam kashi Yehudi nimtza b'matzavin hashfelim biyoter. When a Jew is found in the darkest situation, he is sunk to the greatest depths. And he's as if he fell into the greatest level of depravity that he could fall into. Nonetheless, the power of Amuna is alive. We refer to a thing as the Pintele Yid, the little point of a Jew, the little point of a Jew who's within everyone. That's still alive no matter what you do. V'amuna hu bechinas hakusta d'chiyusa, and that's the aspect. Amuna is the spark of life, is the kusta d'chiyusa. V'menu techilas hatzmicha hamuchedesh. From that, the new birth will grow. And think about that concept. No matter how far the Jew has fallen, we have a tendency, unfortunately, of looking at people and putting them in a box. Oh, this person is such and such. This person is such and such. You're looking at the outer coverings. Forget the outer coverings. We have to do what Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach alav Shalom said. You have to look with Mashiach eyes Eyes of Mashiach don't look at the outer covering. Eyes of Mashiach look at the soul. Look at what's in that person and realize that every single Jew has this kusta dechusa, has this spark of emunah, no matter what they're doing. Sometimes it's covered. Sometimes it's covered. You got to get to it. It's covered with whatever it's covered with, dirt, clouds, actions, but it's there. And you have to realize that. If you realize that, when you look at anybody, no matter what he appears to be, any single Jew, you got to understand that this is a person who has this kusta dechiusa, has this pintala yid within him, has this little bit of emunah ingrained within him, as if genetically. Balzeh, Tan Moshe Rabbeinu Shalom, and Moshe said, "Hey lo yaminu li, lo yishma b'koli." They won't believe in me, and they won't listen to my voice. Shoyosover, he thought, Shagam Hamuna Kvar Paguma Etzlam. He thought their Hamuna was also destroyed because of where they were. Shalagodol Hatuma Shabahim Nimtsaim. He thought with the great tuma, the great impurity that they were found in, Lo Yitakin Shnisharo Etzlam Hamuna Batarasa. He didn't think that he could have pure Amuna left in them. Im Kain, Lo Noter Behem Kusta Dechius. He thought they wouldn't have this spark of life, the spark of Jewish life within them. L'kach Omar, and therefore he said, Asurana, I've got to turn and see us, Amara Hagadol Hazeh, and see what's going on here. Madua lo yivar hasneh. Why isn't the bush being consumed? Eich yitaken shenishmar bohem hakusta dechiyusa. How is it possible that these people, these Jewish people, the Bnei Israel in Egypt, how did they still have this spark of life, shel tahor amuna, of pure amuna, al afgadol eish hatuma, when they're burning in the midst of this fire of depravity? How is it surviving? How are they having that kusta dechiusa? That was what Moshe was wondering about, comparing obviously the bush to the Bnei Israel in Egypt. Hashem answered him, Shal na'alecha me'al raglecha, take your shoes off of your feet. Ki hamokum asher ata omed alav admas kodeshi. This place is holy. Hamokum asher ata omed alav, the place that you're standing, marumas, it hints of Bnei Israel, it hints at the people of Israel, she'ata omed u'madaber odosum, that you're talking and speaking about them. Yisrael, the people of Israel, heim kadosh kadoshim, they're holy of holies. Va'af bios Yehudi meshuko b'memtet sharei tuma. Even though a Jew is stuck, finds herself in the lowest level of depravity, kiyumbo koach hamuna, the power of amuna is engraved within the Jewish person, and he's able to overcome that. Kamamar Moron Harav Nachum Milokovich, he said, She'al Yehudi lahamin, shehu mamin. A Jew has to believe that he can believe. A Jew has to believe that he can believe. Ba'afka she'enu margish kain, even though he doesn't feel like he really has emunah. Yamin, he should believe, ki b'pnimios nafsho, in the inner part of himself. Maminu, he is a believer. Ela she'avim machasim mimenu es or hamuna, but clouds are covering the light of Amunah within him. And when you find yourself in that situation, even if you don't find yourself in that situation, you have to always pray to God to help you with your Amunah, strengthen you in your Amunah, to have it reveal itself and not be hidden. Peel away the cover. Amunah, Mishareshes Bepnimos Nafshos Yehudi, Me'avos Havoseinu. Amunah is inside of us, in essence, a genetic gift from our holy fathers. K'amar Kadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael. I'm sorry, Kadosh Baruch Hu Moshe, as God said to Moshe, B'nai Maminim Haim. These are children of believers. B'nai Maminim Haim B'nai Maminim. My children are children of believers. Vavshas Neboer Ba'esh. Even though the bush is burning with fire, Einenu Ukal, it won't be destroyed, won't be consumed. Shebechol Matzav, in every situation, Shehu, that the power of Amunah will not be extinguished. The Pnimios Nafsham, inside of you, in your midst. The Yesh Bohem, and we have is Akusta de Chiyusa, this spark of life, Shemikocha, from its power, Yochel Legol Mitzrayim. From that power, we were able to be redeemed from Egypt. Now, this, what he's talking about, this Kusta de Chiyuso, I mentioned at the beginning, obviously it applies to Bnei Israel nationally as a nation. It applies to when we were brought out of Egypt. But it also applies to all of the tragic events that we have gone through. Most recently, the Shoah. We've gone through the Shoah where a great part of our people was destroyed. And yet, we had the Kusta de Chiyusa. The Jewish people remained and are now strong after that.
Rose out of the ashes.
We rose out of the ashes. The Kusta de Chiyusa. Individually, it applies as well. You might think you're in such a spot that you can't get out of it. You're walking around depressed all the time. You're walking around thinking there's, why is the world doing this to me? Why is Hashem doing this to me? Look down deep inside of yourself. Look down deep inside of yourself for that Kusta de Chiyusa. Know that it's there. The knowledge that it's there, the knowledge that you have this genetic ability to regenerate and to make yourself a new life will help you to get through whatever difficulties you're in, to be able to go to that next day. Kusta de Chiyusa. I'm going to stop here, but I'm going to give just a little Dvar Torah that I heard from my friend Avram Aryeh Trugman. He said it on last week's Parsha when he was talking about just before Yaakov gave the blessing to the children. Yaakov was concerned that maybe they're not going to follow in the ways of a Jew. And when the children came to him, they said, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Hear Israel, Lord our God, Lord is one. He knew then that they were going to be following in the way of God. And he answered, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Eliolam V'ed. Blessed is the name of his kingdom forever and ever. Those two sentences, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, has 6 words. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Eliolam V'ed has 6 words, total of 12, representing the 12 tribes. If you count the letters, and the beginning of our Parsha in Shemot goes through the names of the tribes. If you count the letters of the tribes, it comes out to 49. And you count the letters in those 2 sentences, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, it's 49. The high priest, the Kohen Gadol, in the days of Beis Hamikdash, would wear the breastplate that had written on it the names of Bnei Yisrael, of all the tribes of Israel, all 12 tribes. And he, in essence, was carrying on his own body, on his shoulder. He had the responsibility for the entire country, the higher peoplehood of Israel. We no longer have a Kohen Gadol. We no longer have a Beis Hamikdash. Now that responsibility is upon each one of us. And as the Holy Arizal said, before one davens in the morning, before you pray to God, you say, that I'm going to fulfill the mitzvah of Yahavtu Reacha Kamocha, loving my neighbor as myself. When you're davening, when you're praying to God, pray not for yourself, but for others. That's the job. That's the lesson we learn. And when you combine that with the kusta, the chiyusa, the spark of life that we have, there is nothing in this life that should overcome you. No tragedy, difficulty, obstacle. Recognize that you've got that spark of life, the spark of emunah within you. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of the week and a wonderful Shabbat when we come to Shabbat.
Thank you. Very nice.